Okay, we're live. Welcome, everybody. Another tough game today for the Huskers. We do have a new guest joining our show, Joseph Franz. Welcome, Joseph. Excited to have you on. He's another Kansas City native, Overland Park, Kansas, very close to where Jeffrey and I are at. How you doing today, Joseph?
I'm doing good other than the outcome of the game.
It's like the same movie over and over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Groundhog Day. Gosh.
No kidding. Well, guys, we're excited to have Joseph here for our viewers watching. He's been a longtime Husker fan like us. We happen to go to the same high school, Blue Valley North. And a little fun fact is the Wisconsin quarterback, Graham Mertz, actually went to Blue Valley North as well. So it makes it especially tough for Joseph and I. And a kid from our high school beat our Huskers. But let's get right into it. We'll have Joseph start off. Quick reaction. Give us your thoughts, man.
Yeah, I think the Huskers played as well as they could. Definitely Casey makes a difference, and you can see that. Yeah, you would hate to think what the game would be like without him, but he has a knack of making things happen, so the offense has just enough life to make something happen. But the O-line, still a weakness. Defense played relatively well. They're filling gaps. They're playing good assignment football and didn't give up any big plays. It's just one or two plays at the wrong time. And, big boy football won with Wisconsin.
Shit. Yep. Jeffrey?
Yeah, I agree on Casey. There's no question he's our best chance to win a game from the quarterback position. I just don't understand the offensive line because it's almost like Anthony Grant is learning how to run left to right now instead of north to south, just because there's a D lineman on him before he even hardly gets the handoff. It's almost like I don't know what's going on there, but it's really disappointing that we can't establish any run game, and then the pressure on Thompson is really every game. It just seems like he's going to get hurt. So that's disappointing to me because they've got to get going. The defensive line too was, again, Wisconsin rushed for I think over 200 yards. So our line play is just very disappointing. I would not have thought that going into this year that would have been such a weak point for us. I'm surprised we're not as physical. But anyway, that's it for me.
Got a comment I'm showing. Thanks, O-line. It was a tough day. My quick reaction, unfortunately, is going to be similar to the last few times we've done this. Joseph, I agree. I think from a team-wide perspective, I think we played hard, but it's just really disappointing to me. Again, the consistent theme, the line of scrimmage. Wisconsin does what we used to do great, back in the 90s and 80s, and we just not being able to establish a running game kills us. Casey's a great talent. And you're right, Joseph. When we've got Casey in the game, we can win, right? And we're right there at the end of it. But it's a matter of you've got to have that balance. And Wisconsin, you're right. For the most part, there weren't a lot of big plays. It was just those one or two, like in the third or fourth quarter, Braylon Allen, before he got hurt, bouncing outside the line and dashing down the sideline before Newsom got him. Those are the plays that killed us today. But it's the line of scrimmage, the lack of running game for us, and the lack of pass rush is just mind-boggling to me, and it just really hurts us week in and week out. It really does.
Yeah, we had enough things go our way with a couple of penalties, the incomplete pass on the sideline.
Yep.
That you thought, this was the chance. No turnovers, very few penalties, very few mental mistakes. So you thought they played a clean game. The defense played well. Yeah, it's just in the second half, the offense didn't do enough. And with the run game, the O-line is what it is, and it is what it has been for years. You can see some improvement at an individual level. Wisconsin was only bringing 4 most of the time.
I know.
And still had a pretty good pass rush. Casey has the poise to stay in there and know when to, to get out of the pocket. But, we're used to it after so many years of so many close losses that I think most Husker fans kind of felt it was going to turn out this way. And so, the level of disappointment, there's probably some diminishing returns there or we'll take our lumps now with the hopes that, through a rebuild and a new coaching staff, and you keep a lot of players that, there's some hope for 2023 and beyond.
Yep, you sure hope. We'll get into this in a little bit, but I sure as heck hope we can keep and bring back those transfer portal guys. Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer. That's what I'm, is at the top of my mind going into next year. But yeah, we've gotten used to it at this point. And that, for anybody that isn't aware, obviously we are. Wisconsin's had our number for a decade. That's their 9th straight win against us. Last time we beat them was in 2012. Jeffrey, you were at that game. Last time we beat Wisconsin, but
yeah, I mean, I don't even. It's been so long, I don't even remember. But I don't even. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think. Another point. With the offense, the O-line, it is what it is. But I guess in the second half, there were a couple of plays that worked there, and it seemed to be that cutback or that counter, because they certainly can't run power. When you.
Yep. Yeah.
The highlights playing there. Or the lowlights playing there in the background. But yeah, they play, when they try to play power football, it's tough. When they can do some misdirection, when they kind of run that cutback, then it seemed like Grant had some holes to run through. He doesn't seem as explosive as he did the first half of the season.
No.
It looked like maybe it was enough to get things, to sustain some drives in the second half, but ultimately it didn't, because every time you have that negative play, you just put yourself in a lot of trouble.
And that's what we do best. We'll have a big run, and you're exactly right. The times where Grant had those, sizable runs was in the cutbacks. We cannot power run it anymore, and that's what's so frustrating. But yeah, no, I think he did have a couple of times where we run those, those counters or cutback type plays, but the physicality, we just can't match up.
He tries hard as a back, but he doesn't look as explosive. I don't know if it's just the season and the wear and tear, but I'm always curious why we aren't trying to give Gabe Ervin more of a shot here and there, because Anthony he looks worn down a little bit. He's not busting through those holes. And I'm just curious if Urban's never really recovered from his knee injury or what, or even Ramir Johnson, who has that explosiveness. But anyway.
Yeah, Irvin had a couple of touches. What was it, late in the second half, middle of or second quarter? Looks like he's got, the legs, but to really be effective, you got to carry the ball on a repeated basis. So this rotation, no running back likes that. And you could even see it on the Wisconsin side. I mean, Braylon Allen wants to get in there and play. Yeah, I thought he turned his ankle. His first injury was a turned ankle, and then he had the arm or the wrist, and then late in the game he had the ankle again. But he's just a gamer. He wanted to keep going. But yeah, Jeffrey, as you were saying before we went live, it really didn't matter who you put back there. The Wisconsin O-line is going to do their job, and any of 3 Wisconsin backs could do a relatively good job.
Right, yep. I agree.
That is a good point, though. On what's his name, Anthony Grant. He was running a lot more east and west today, and that's not something we're used to seeing with him. So maybe he is banged up throughout the year, but we'll see. Okay, guys, well, let's jump in. Joseph, talk about some of the highlights, and I'll make sure to incorporate any comments that are valid to what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good to see Trey Palmer back. I mean, He's been shut down the last couple of games, and some of that's been the defense, and some of that's just been our offense. But, he shows he can play, makes some good catches. He's there. Other than that, from a passing standpoint, there wasn't much. But it's good to see that he's back, and hopefully he stays for next year. Defensively, defensively, they play hard. They're nicked up. The D line is good. I saw a couple of comments in here about Hutmacher, and there's some potential there. And I'm, with Billy Bush as the defensive coordinator, you could see that simplifying the defense just made them play a little bit more relaxed. Yeah, they didn't have to overthink things. And, I don't think the Wisconsin O-line didn't push them around the same way that the Michigan O-line pushed them around.
Agreed.
But, it's the play here and there. It's the 7-yard gain on 2nd and 6 or 3rd and 5 that, you've just got to come up with enough stops. They had some stops. They just didn't have enough of those at the right moment.
Yep. Jeffrey?
Yeah. I guess highlights for me. I was watching Houseman a lot, the young linebacker, and I like him. He's a freshman, so he's not consistent by any means, but he's got great speed and he made some good tackles. He's getting more physical. He's already bigger than Reimers, and he's a true freshman. So I think he looked good. I was unfortunate that Toby Wright, who's getting to play a little bit, got burned on that pass play to the running back at the end because he's trying to play that nickel back JoJo position, and he's been out with blood clots for a couple of years, but he's a great prospect. So I thought the D-line, I see it where they hang in there, but, I thought I do think Nash Hutmacher, every other play he does pretty good, holds his position, but it's just, it's still just disappointing to me physically that they can't get out on 3rd downs, get 3 and outs with that, just the front 7. It's just that, they're on their heels. They're getting these backs are coming through there and gaining 4 or 5 yards. I don't know what the average carry was, but a little bit disappointing there. I thought Miles Farmer did a little bit better as safety. There was nobody got burned deep, which was good. He actually made some good tackles. So Miles and Ernest Houseman were good for me. I think that Casey being in there, I wish he'd have thrown more. He took a while. He was holding the ball a little bit. He did run better, but maybe that was a highlight for me that it's just good that he's back. And I agree. I hope he comes back next year. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I'm showing this comment because I probably said this 4 or 5 times throughout the game. It just seems to me like, and maybe this has been for the last 5 years, that we just don't play with a whole lot of sense of urgency or passion. And I know we're talking about highlights, but I have to agree with this. It's, we play, Michigan or Wisconsin or any of these other teams, and I just feel like they're playing harder than us a lot of times. And it's disheartening to see. But my highlights are brief. Joseph, it sure was good to see Trey Palmer get back on track after 3 games in a row of being non-existent. I still worry we're going to lose him. Having Casey back, clearly the offense runs a whole lot better when he's in there. But I think, like Jeffrey, I think Ernest Houseman, he's stepping up. I think he could be a pretty good player by the time he's a junior, senior. And I thought in the first half, the energy was a little bit better. I thought we were playing hard. The crowd was into it. That's definitely got to be a highlight for me is in the 4th quarter, 30 seconds to go, they're up a point and they're showing our crowd. And we got a packed stadium, fans still cheering. That's what, the one thing I can really take a lot of pride in is that our fans are dedicated and devoted. But
it was cold. It was cold.
Yeah. It was cold.
It was cold just watching them.
Yeah, honestly, that's why we'll be okay in Nebraska because too many people care. I mean it. Too many people care. They got a lot of money. We just have to hope that Trev Alberts does a good job. I don't want to jump to that subject yet, but good things happen when you have that much passion and support and loyalty. So that's a highlight for me.
Anything else on the game, guys?
Low lights. You want to talk about some low lights?
Oh, honestly, I don't have that many low lights. the O-line there, it wasn't like play after play there was a blow up, but they were outmanned. And maybe some of that is just offensive play calling, that you can't go with that sort of cutback counter every single play. They tried a screen or two. Casey really does that well. He's got the poise in the pocket to make that screen work, to give it some time. So they can be creative enough, and with Whipple up in the box, maybe it's a little bit different from him. Maybe he sees things differently. I thought the play calling was okay. They tried to run the ball, with a lead, trying to run the clock. I think they took the right approach. If they had started throwing the ball and throwing incomplete passes, and we could be in a completely different situation there, with the wind being a factor as well. I think it was a smartly called game. Yeah, just outplayed our offensive line to their defensive line. I think our defensive line manned up against Wisconsin most of the time. They weren't, blown back a lot. We had tackles for loss. We were in his face. There were a couple of chances where if we had just gotten a hand on his foot or his ankle, he would have gone down for a loss. And that's what the game's all about. But I think they play relatively hard given the situation. Yeah, you fire the coach early in the season. Nobody thinks you have a chance. The national media has signed off on you. No one really cares. They continue to play with pride. I think it's tough. Honestly, I don't see the quit that you might have seen 3 years ago or 6 years ago, that really could have turned into, a blowout if Wisconsin had, really gotten some momentum at the end of the second quarter. And then with the way that they played well at the beginning of the third, that could have just been the turning of the tide there. And, you have no chance, but,
like when
they were in it.
Every time we play a good team with Pelini, we'd go down a couple scores and then you knew it was over. He'd start freaking out on the sideline. Jeffrey, the comment I'm showing, you were talking about this throughout the game, the snaps being off.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm going to be more critical than Joseph. The offensive line to me was just, now I know that we miss Narelli, who was our guard, our best offensive lineman probably at the start of the season, because he was forced out because of substances or whatever it was. I forget, because he's a big guard. Noradin Narelli, he's like 330. And then Teddy Prochaska, that, we don't have enough depth that losing those two. Those are probably our two best offensive linemen, but I thought we got manhandled. I thought Casey was panicking. He just didn't have much time. He does have poise, but I just thought they were with four guys. I mean, it was sad to me. I mean, it wasn't any good. And then Hickson his snaps were off probably at least half a dozen times, which tremendously pushes the whole play back for Casey. It's terrible for a quarterback. So that was a low light to me, was the offensive line.
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah. Low lights for me, I think, trying to not do the same each week because I don't want to talk about the same stuff. But again, when I'm watching any team we played this year, really, if you look in the schedule, everybody we played, there hasn't been a single team where you can watch our offensive line or our defensive line and say, wow, we are better than them. We are out physicaling them. And, when the running backs for Wisconsin are untouched 5 yards through the line of scrimmage, your linebackers can only do so much. So I think just all in all, my low light that continues to be a humongous problem is our pipeline, the offense and defensive lines. We hope Caleb Tanner would have a breakout year. He never seems to be able to get in the backfield. And Wisconsin, you guys are right. With 4 down linemen, they're getting in with ease. We can't do it when we blitz. We have 6 coming, 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers. And it makes you wonder, what are they watching film? Are they making adjustments in practice? Are they working on this stuff? Are they doing ones versus ones? Because we have plenty of talent. And people, I get frustrated when you see, some different sports pundits or analysts will talk about Nebraska can't recruit. No one wants to go to Nebraska. That's BS. We out-recruit everybody in the Big Ten West, including Wisconsin. So I got to figure out what the heck is going on with our line of scrimmage, because a lot of those guys are 4-star recruits, and that's just what continues to amaze me. That's the low light. Even though it was a close game, we played hard. First half was solid. The pipeline's what killed us and lost us the game, I think. Okay, injury updates. Obviously, Joseph, you can take us away on this one. Obviously, Casey's back, but why don't you hit on any injury updates?
Well, on our side, I mean, Buford was hurt early, and at halftime they said he was on crutches and in a knee brace, so that doesn't look good. It's the end of the season, so you hope that he can recover from that, or if it needs some surgery, that he can be back. Everybody else was dinged up. I think Vokalek was limping around.
Yep.
Who else did you see out there that?
Jeffrey, do you have any? Is there anyone that you saw? I know we got a bunch.
Ethan Piper. Ethan Piper went down, and I know Bando came in for him, and I didn't see him coming back either. And did you guys? We're losing offensive linemen. Joseph's right. It's the end of the year, but I think Piper's a good guard. We're missing. Prochaska could play guard. Nuruddin Nurili could play guard. And I know Bando's both, but I hope Piper's okay, because I think he could become he's still a young player and could be a good. He's a potential center too, because Hickson's a senior and Ethan is the backup center right now. So I hope Piper's okay.
Do you know what happened to him?
I don't know. I thought it was his face or up above his neck, I thought was hurt, but I may be wrong. They went to a commercial, pretty quick after he was down, and Mickey Joseph came over there, and I just noticed that Bando was playing guard, in his spot. I didn't see him out there anymore. Maybe I may be wrong. Maybe somebody's gonna send you a note, Jake, to fact check me on that. But
well, nobody probably knows the details of his injury.
Well, just if somebody else saw him come back in, I didn't. I was watching for that.
Yeah,
I don't think he was back in the game. So, but he's a potential center next year, I think.
Omar Manning had a catch finally. I could be wrong, but I think that's his first catch in I don't know how many weeks. But it was good. I know he's been back in the lineup, but for a guy that was super talented coming out of junior college, he's really kind of fallen off the map. I know Trey Palmer gets all the attention, but he was back. But yeah, I think Buford being a true freshman. I love that he's starting as a true freshman, but you sure hope it's, if it's a bad injury, you hope he can get surgery and be back by the time next year starts, because that's a guy we can't afford to lose in the secondary. He's a good tackler, hits hard. But other than that, I didn't know of any other injuries or anything. So, yeah, Dad, we'll see if anyone has comments on Piper.
I mean, and if with Casey's injury, he looked like he threw the ball pretty well. He didn't throw a lot of deep balls, but he had touch. There was maybe one or two that were a bit off. He threw behind, a bit low, but it seems like he's got it. So whatever nerve damage he had in the wrist, fingers, elbow, it seems like he's over that. And good to see that, he really wasn't touched apart from, the targeting. So he should be healthy, or a little bit healthier going into next week.
Sure. And he's going down better when he runs. He's protecting himself a little bit better, and he's running better. So that's good. And the wind was a factor today. So you have to have a cannon on some of those things I think that probably limited some stuff. But I think he's good enough. I think he's good enough we should be 500 record, so he's in that position. Jake, you're right. I hope he comes back, because he and Palmer, when you talk about they're going to leave, Jake, you guys mean they're going to go to like the pros? Because what are they, juniors?
I worry they'll go to another team, especially if we don't keep Mickey Joseph. If we get a new coach and they don't keep Joseph on staff, I worry Casey and Trey will transfer. You know how loyal they are to Mickey Joseph.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's talk about player of the game. And this can be a Husker or a Badger, whatever you'd like, Joseph.
Oh, wow. Husker or Badger. Well, I'll just do the Husker side. I would give it to Casey because he's shown that he has grit. He has the smarts to know when to take the loss, when to throw it out of bounds, and live to fight another down. Um, like I said, without him, just imagine what that offense would have been today.
I know.
And his leadership is there. The players love him. Yeah. So, he's the kind of the glue that holds that all together. There might be a bit of glue and tape and staples and whatnot. And, Whipple's trying to work some magic with what he's got there. That at least it gives you a chance. I just feel sorry for the seniors. I mean, they deserve a shout out to say it's been a tough 4 or 5 years. And I think when a lot of them came here or they transferred in, they had high hopes and the expectations were high amongst the team and with fans. And it didn't work out, the way they wanted, but they stayed. You haven't seen, people just kind of quit the system like you might have done in years past. There's been some talk about guys who just really didn't buy into what was happening if they didn't get enough playing time, if the team wasn't winning, and they haven't been winning. But it's having been through that personally, knowing that it's tough. Losing seasons are tough, and losing a coach is tough, and it can lead to a lot of dissension. So I'd give it to the seniors. I'd give them the game ball. Casey might get one too, and it looks dark now, but you've got to be hopeful that they can turn the ship around with a new coach, and keeping some of the starters that they've got now and some of this young talent that if there's anything I've learned in the last 20 years, it's that Nebraska fans are eternally optimistic. And that 9-3, that 9-3, 11-1 season is out there somewhere. But I think for the moment, we'll take 7-5 and work from there.
Yep. That's a good point on the seniors. Before you go, Jeffrey, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do notice that. I know a lot of these comments are pretty negative, but for the seniors to rally, like the Garrett Nelson, I don't know if he's coming back, has another year, but the seniors as a whole, the fact they stay together, you can see that they're close together as a team. They love each other. They're not giving up on plays. The energy's not there where you want it to be sometimes, but I think it's just a matter of who we got playing. But I do think that's a good shout out to the seniors that didn't give up and kept fighting until the end. I think Mickey Joseph's a big part of that, keeping them together as a team. But Jeffrey, who is your player of the game?
Yeah, I think I just want to keep tipping my hat to Mickey because he's positive. He's trying to keep everything. I mean, he had him in the game to win it, and it's got to be frustrating for him. I thought Casey played fundamentally okay, where he didn't make any mistakes. He was efficient, so that was good. But my part of the game is the Wisconsin offensive line, because they just kind of did, Mertz didn't have to do anything as a quarterback but hand the ball off pretty much. So that was, I'm just being honest. The seniors for Nebraska, Hickson and Vokalek, I love it that they came back and they've hung in there. And I think Hickson has done a decent job at center. Maybe it was the win today with the snaps. I don't know. But I kudos to them for hanging in there. I think on defense, I'm trying to even remember Reimers is a great kid. I think he's going to play on Sundays. He'll make an NFL team just because he's so fast. So he's been great. It's a young team. So I think there is something to look forward to. As long as most of these kids hang around, they can keep Mickey somewhat. As we get into this next subject with the coaching search, I think they got to keep him in the same position he had at LSU, which is recruiting coordinator and wide receivers coach, and pay him $1 million plus. That's what I'm hoping.
We got the money. We know we got the money.
Well, Travis said that that's what they would like to do. So hopefully, with whoever the new coach is, I think that would be smart because he is pretty well he embedded into the Louisiana, Mississippi area, which has got some diamonds in the rough. So that's mine.
I see some shout outs there for Palmer, Casey.
Yep. Palmer and Casey. Yeah, that's my player of the game, Trey Palmer. I'm always hardest on the quarterbacks, like most people are. They always take a lot of the blame. I think Trey Palmer, they mentioned he tweeted this morning that he was angry, pissed off. The fact he actually came out and produced and had a good game surprises me. But yeah, I think he was the reason that this was a game. I mean, getting open, those 2 touchdown catches. I still don't know whether he's physical enough to have a successful career in the NFL. But it was nice to see him get back and have a solid game.
He's a junior. He's a junior, right? Technically.
Yeah. So we hope he and Casey come back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a young team. I mean, we got a lot of people back as long as you're right. Those, people don't transfer out of the portal. So, we'll see. I think Toby Wright's going to be a good player. And the young Gifford kid's doing good too. I mean, he's young, but he's going to be really good, just like his brother. So I think some of these kids are going to blossom. I really do. I think we have some good athletes. I think our recruiting has been good enough. It's been a lot better than 3-8, right?
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm going to take a timeout. I'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll continue this.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Joseph.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of these comments, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I am. We're getting a lot of them, aren't we?
Yep, a lot of anger. The linemen are big, but must be weak because they don't move anybody backwards. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Yeah, it is. Joseph was right on some of the
Mr. Mark, our favorite commenter, Mr. Mark. I know. We've got it's like, why are they out there? We just have bodies out there just trying to get in front of them, but we don't.
Well, we have to. I mean, look, everybody's trying. I know but yeah, it seems like we really miss Nuruddin Norelli and Prochaska because they'll be back next year. And Norelli was really doing good. Remember at the end of last year, we were running the ball better. He's a big guard. He's 6'5", 330. I think we need him back. We need Prochaska back where he doesn't get hurt all the time. Obviously, Mickey Joseph has said that his priority in recruiting is offensive linemen.
Yep.
I mean,
I believe that.
Yeah, he's got to get some more offensive linemen, and probably defensive line too. So they've got to get better at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of getting mean guys that want to play and knock somebody on their butt. I mean, everybody tries to analyze it and come up with reasons why we're not as good. It's like if you watch the film, watch it over again, they just are playing harder. They want to kill somebody. And when you watch our offensive line, I think even if, Prochaska and Norelli were still in, I don't, maybe it'd make a difference. We don't know, but
we'd have
heart and effort and energy. They don't have it.
Well, we'd have Cam Jurgens, Norton, Norelli, and Prochaska. I know that's me wishing, but you'd have Cam Jurgens and Norelli last year at the end of the year. They were running the ball better. It was those two. It was. I mean, and Jurgens was mean, and Norelli's great. He's a huge guard. I mean, I'm serious. Yeah. He is healthy, and he played the whole year. He's going to be good. So Prochaska has to. I hope he doesn't become one of those guys that's hurt all the time. But and I think Corcoran's going to be phenomenal. I do, and I think Benhart, if he just keeps hanging in there, he'll become.
I agree with you on Benhart.
Well, I think Benhart really is a guard, not a tackle, because he gets caught out there on that island. I think he's a guard. But anyway.
I think for any Husker fans watching, Benhart, I'll be careful here. He is one of my least favorite offensive linemen I've watched play for Husker.
Well, it's tough learning to become a tackle. It is hard.
In my opinion, you get someone else in.
Yeah. Okay,
like
so
Ryan Schroeder, thank you. You either want to play and kill somebody or you don't. Get them out if they don't want to play. I mean.
All right, what's our next subject?
We got to wait for Joseph to come back. But our next subject we're going to talk about is coaching search updates.
Oh, okay.
Teddy Prochaska, Mr. Mark's asking, he's still out.
Yeah, he's still out.
Thank you, Ryan Schroeder. I couldn't agree more. But next we're going to talk about coaching search updates. Husker fans, if you guys follow the team like us, you look at Nebraska 24/7 each morning when you start the workday, and you have any updates or insight on coaching search updates, comment, let us know. We want to have a discussion here. We got another 10 minutes left to do this. We'll preview Iowa at the very end, but
yeah, we got to get going, Jake. So on this, I'll go first, and then Joseph can jump in when he gets on. But I still think it's Dave Aranda or Bill O'Brien. I hope Bill O'Brien's still in the loop. I haven't seen anything on him. I see from certain things on the Husker, updates that Dave Aranda's in the loop, Matt Rule's in the loop. God, I wish they were on O'Brien. Maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part, because I think he's the best candidate because of his NFL experience, being the O coordinator at Alabama, the O coordinator for the Patriots in Super Bowls, and also what he did at Penn State when they were in more of an adverse situation than Nebraska is now. So I'm a Bill O'Brien fan big time, but I haven't seen much on him. Everything that I read tell you that Aranda's high on the list right now, who's the Baylor coach. Did they beat TCU today, by the way? Was that, anybody see that score, what the final was? It was tied.
Let me look it up. TCU won by a point, 29-28.
TCU won?
By a point.
See, Joseph, I'm a TCU alumni. How about that? When I was at TCU, they didn't win a game. They were like Nebraska, and now it's inverted.
And now you're not on the Gary Patterson bandwagon.
Well, he's at Texas now, helping out as an advisor. But I mean, yeah. I like the Frogs second and third. They're 9-0, and they have a hell of a quarterback. That kid is tough, but good for them. But that may affect Aranda. Us getting him. I didn't know where Baylor was, but he was the ex-Wisconsin D coordinator, so. I think he'd be great too, but I'm for Bill O'Brien. That's my pick.
No.
You're getting a lot of heat on that. Jeffrey, you're getting a lot of heat on Bill O'Brien.
I am.
Joseph, go ahead.
Well, I can tell you it won't be me. I just had to step away. That was Trev, and he just told me I'm not down selected. So, if you had your money on me, no dice. I saw some comments there. Ryan was talking about strength and conditioning. He had some good comments. Mr. Mark did as well. This strange offense. And, you think about it, when you're talking about who the coach could be or should be, that offensive scheme is important. Whipple, I think, is a great offensive coordinator, but maybe he was too similar to what Scott Frost had. Yeah. And there wasn't enough emphasis on the run. And even if there had been this year, how successful would that have been? So, Bill O'Brien could be there, Mark. Rule is a possibility. Personally, I like Mark Stoops. So
the Kentucky coach.
Yeah. He was my pick. I wasn't big on the Scott Frost bandwagon 5 years ago, just simply because he didn't have enough experience at big schools. And sure, it was the logical thing to do. But at that point, I thought Mark Stoops would be a good fit. He's done well at Kentucky. He's having a down year. Maybe he's looking for a change of pace. I mean, the SEC is tough. How much better can Kentucky get? it's, he's Ohio roots, defensive minded, good coaching staff. He'll bring them along. Would Mickey fit in there somehow? Maybe not. But I think, as you said, that's a big thing to consider, because I think everybody wants Mickey around. And how do you make that work? And would he gel with a new coaching staff?
If somebody knows on caller in or supposedly on, because I get that, what's the thing I pay for, Jake, that I get on every day on the Husker, not just 247, but they say that it's down to 3 candidates, that Albert is, and the board has got 3 people. And I don't know. I'd say Rand is one of those. Somebody's saying Lane Kiffin, and I like Lane Kiffin. I think I said that on the first week we had the show, Jake, just because his dad has such legacy roots for Nebraska, Monty Kiffin, and Lane actually grew up more of his life in Lincoln, and everywhere he goes, he does well. Now he has situations always, it seems, or he's got some personal things that go on wherever he is, but Mississippi's having a heck of a year again, so I wouldn't mind if he was one of those candidates too. So, but if anybody knows who might be, what the rumors are, Trev Alberts has kept it very low key. I give him credit.
My guess is it would be Campbell, it might be Rule, and it might be Lance Leipold. I like Bill O'Brien as well. I mean, sure, Alabama's having a down year on offense, but I don't think, you throw all of that on the offensive coordinator.
Right.
They're going to have up years and down years. He's got the track record at the collegiate level with the NFL. So, he's a proven commodity. And I think that's what, you're looking for that. Or on the other end, you're looking at Lance Leipold to say, he can turn programs around. He can recruit. He's getting the most out of the talent that he has at Kansas. That, it really comes down to who fits into what Trev was looking for when he, made the announcement on September 11th that, these are the characteristics he's looking for. I think O'Brien fits that. I think, Leipold fits that. I think Matt Campbell fits that, even though he's having a down year too. There's
Mr.
That would be
Mark,
my short list.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Joe. Mr. Mark Jake says it's Lane Kiffin. Wait, I lost him. Or Matt Rule, Lane Kiffin, and Mark Stoops are the 3. So I think O'Brien must be. Nobody's heard much about him lately, so maybe he is out of that loop. But anyway, I hope they make a decision here pretty soon, and I hope it is somebody that can keep Mickey. So, but you go, Jake, on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself. I think those 3 that Mr. Mark posted are the top 3: Matt Rule, Kiffin, Stoops. I think they'd all be good. But I'm at the point, it's like I'm most concerned about keeping Mickey Joseph on the staff. Early on, we did this first podcast. I was really rooting for him to get the head coaching gig. We got a couple wins under him. Everybody was rah-rah. He just got a ton of energy on the sidelines. I've kind of gone back on that. I think he's more of a cheerleader, but I think from a recruiting perspective and for next year's team, I'm less concerned about the freaking new coach we hire. I'm more concerned about maintaining our roster.
Yeah.
And we are not going to do that. And Husker fans are going to agree with me if we lose Mickey Joseph, because 90% of those stud transfer portal guys and our top recruits we've got in the last 3 years are because of him.
Well, Malachi Coleman, who's a 5-star.
He will not be here if we lose Joseph.
Yeah. I mean,
he will go wherever he is.
Yeah, I think he is almost a 5-star, and he is a 6'5", 190-pound junior that runs a 10.3 500 meters. And Alabama wants him to turn him into a defensive end, believe it or not. So linebacker DN. So this kid is, a hybrid athlete that's remarkable. So yeah, I mean, I don't care what your offense is or whatever. You need great wide receivers. That's what's separated Ohio State and Alabama from all these teams. They have 3 absolute superstar wide receivers. So I think any coach would want to keep Mickey. I know Lane Kiffin would, being from the Southeast Conference, but we'll see. We do have the money to pay those D coordinators, offensive coordinators. A lot of, there's not a problem with that. So I would be. I think Trev will push for that hard with these coaches, and that'll be part of the deal. So let's hope for that, right?
Yeah. And the last thing I'd say on that is I think most coaches would want to keep Mickey Joseph on the staff. The question is, and in Nebraska, there's a lot of talk, and coaches hear the talk, and we fabricate these sorts of rumors. But with a more experienced coach like Bill O'Brien or Matt Rule, or who else do you want to put on that list? That has years of experience. I think Mickey fits in well. If it's somebody like Lance Leipold that's taking his first step to a big time program, there could be that talk. He's kind of the heir apparent, but if things don't work out, then the rumor mill starts. And when does Leipold make an exit? And people are calling, all the talk shows are calling for Mickey to take the job, or they're bitter about Mickey not getting the job. So I think Mickey can be a head coach. I hope he does become one someday. It may not be here, but I think he's proven that, he can get through challenges, that he's got the ability to recruit. He's got the ability to lead young men. And I think Bill Bush, if he's not around here next year, he'll be a DC somewhere.
Yep. Oh yeah. Both of them. If they're not in Nebraska next year, they're both going to be somewhere. That's for damn sure. I did show real quick before we get into preview in Iowa, you guys, I got to show this. B. Bo, that is a good point that he's making. He's talking about when I said we better hope we can keep Mickey Joseph on the staff. This is a good point. I got to give you credit here. Didn't think about it like that. I think, what I was saying is you at least hope if we do bring in a new coach, Bo, you can, make him the recruiting director, making him an assistant, right? From a recruiting standpoint, that's why I say we want to keep him on. You don't need to make him the offensive coordinator. But I will say that's a good point. That you make a good point. Make a good point.
Yeah, he'll be a receivers coach, and he'll lead recruiting, and those are two things that he does exceptionally well. And there's a place for him. As long as the new head coach doesn't have his staff and he's adamant that that's part of the terms, that I bring my entire staff and I decide who stays and who goes.
Yep.
Right. No, I agree with that. And Mickey's not he's at the back part of his career too. He's not as young as everybody thinks. So I think he'd be good with that. And you got to pay those guys. The best recruiting coordinators, they're worth just like strength coaches, they're all over $1 million, and so that's one of the more important positions. So I think I agree with Joseph. I think a real experienced coach would take him in a heartbeat, because that recruiting that's a tough deal, So anyway, that's all good input. We'll see. We should know in a couple of weeks. I think Alberts was trying to do it after the Iowa game pretty quick, because you've got recruits making decisions. What is it? What's early recruiting, Joseph?
February.
No, February is the final, but early recruiting is December 6th. We should get a fact check on this. I think you have early signing, which is happening a lot now, on December 6th or 7th.
Yeah. There's about a week.
Yeah, so they got to get after it just because of that, right? So I think that even makes it more leaning that you need Mickey in there, because he's recruiting right now. I mean, we have some good recruits for 23, so you don't want to lose several. Yep. We got a couple good.
They have been focusing big on the recruiting trail. That's one thing I'm reading a lot of, is Mickey and all his staff are out there on the road meeting with recruits like they're going to be here next year. So you do like that.
Yeah.
All right. Our final topic, everybody. Let's talk about our final game, the team that seemed like Wisconsin always has our number. Joseph, take it away.
Oh, Iowa. What is there to say about Iowa? Do we have another 3 hours to get all of the vitriol and hatred and jealousy? Yeah. It'll be similar to today's game.
Right.
I saw a comment about 30 minutes ago. how can we score against Iowa? Well, I don't know how Iowa's going to score against us. I don't know what Iowa's doing today. I mean, certainly if we had played Iowa, in the opener instead of Northwestern, we could have, smashed them. Iowa was terrible, we just seem to have, all the stars in alignment that teams peak when they play us, and Iowa will have something to play for.
Yeah.
They're always physical. The defense looks relatively good. Offense is sort of like ours, if they can make it work and the O-line can, push, they'll have some success. And, Ferentz has outcoached Frost, for the last 4 years. It'll be an ugly game. It'll be a good game. That's traditional football. Yeah. It's not SEC football. It's Big Ten football, and it's Big Ten football when it'll be pretty cold.
Right. Yeah, we need to move the Iowa game to the start of the year when they play horrible, because in the freezing cold at the end of the year, they always come back to beat us at the end. And we do play them well too, but it's like today, we lose these nail biters. It's just frustrating as heck, but it'll be good to have Casey back because our quarterback will be better than theirs. We'll hope that the D-line can, be healthy and be ready, because we will have to stop another run game. It's just, we can't let them have 230 yards rushing, but maybe it'll be turnovers and punting because our punter's doing good. So I think they've beat us the last 4 or 5 years, right, Jake? I know that half the guys that I work with are Iowa fans, and I lose, I've lost bets every time with them on it. So
does anybody know the last time? I do. Who knows the last time we did beat Iowa?
I'll say 5 years ago, because it seems like we've lost.
It's a year. Nobody knows what 5 years ago was.
Say it again. I don't know.
Year. Does anybody in the comments know the last year we beat Iowa? And it was in overtime, I believe.
Well, wasn't it? It was not Riley's last year. It was his.
It was Pelini's last year.
Pelini's last year with Tommy Armstrong then. Oof.
2014.
2014. And the same with Wisconsin, yeah? Isn't it 8 or 9 in a row now? So
yeah, 2012 was the last time we beat Wisconsin. Yep.
Yeah.
So
we're getting tired of it.
Year as coach was the last time we beat Iowa. It's amazing. It's amazing. I agree. It's going to be a similar game. I got to be honest. I'm not looking forward to it if it's going to be similar to these last 4 or 5 games, because it's just they just wear you out.
Is it at Nebraska?
It's at Iowa. No schedule. We just played at home. It's at Iowa. Which doesn't help us at all. But Iowa had, I think, probably the worst offense statistically in the nation beginning of the year. They always seem to improve. Ferentz is a hell of a coach, but Joseph, I agree. If we can get some turnovers or a punt return for a touchdown or a block punt for a touchdown, that's what we need. It's the only way we're gonna beat a team like them at Kinnick Stadium. So you hope Casey's playing and healthy. You hope that everybody that played, this week is back and ready to go. But it'll be tough. It'll be tough. If we don't stop the run game, we have no shot.
Well, I'll be watching. I'll be watching and cheering. So we just got to keep supporting them, and hopefully Casey and Trey Palmer can connect a few more times, because we just need a few of those in that game, and we can win, Joseph. You know what I mean? They're not going to score. They don't have a Trey Palmer, and Casey is a better quarterback than their guy. So.
And I'm not sure today's scores, but Iowa may have something to play for. They still have a chance to win the West.
Yeah.
Or if Illinois beat Michigan, then it's either Illinois or Minnesota. I'm not sure how all the math works out.
I was playing Minnesota right now, 0-0. You're right, Joseph.
Did Illinois beat Michigan?
While you look that up, another shout out to Ryan and Mr. Mark, because they got your trivia question right.
Who did?
Ryan and Mr. Mark.
Yes, Ryan. Good job. 24. I always say it too early. And then we got another question. When was the last time we beat Ohio State? I know it. It was one of the most historic games in Nebraska history. Do you too, Jeffrey, Joseph?
Was it 14?
Oh, man. You were at the game, Jeffrey Brown.
I know. Was it 2014? I'm just guessing.
We didn't play him in 2014. 2011, Ryan Schroeder. It was the biggest comeback in Nebraska history. Good job, Josh Menard, if that's how you say it.
Did Illinois beat Michigan?
They did not. They lost 19-17.
Wow.
You know, you can Google search while you're on this, Jeffrey.
Well, I'm very, very old, so I'm a baby boomer. I don't know how to do that very well. So I'll count on you and Joseph and all the other callers. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. Joseph, do you have any final comments? Anything you want to add, brother?
I would just say, yeah, I mean, there'll be another season. And if we can keep some of the talent we've got, you know, if they can remain bought in, I think there are some glimmers of hope there. But it will take player development. I saw that comment several times. It's going to take strength and conditioning. It's going to take the right coaching staff that can call the right plays. A lot of things have to fall into place. But as you look at the West, and I know that the schedule format's going to change in the coming years, but there's no one that's significantly better than us in the West. You know, it's Ohio State and it's Michigan, and maybe you throw in Penn State, and then everybody else has a chance against any other team in the Big Ten. So you've got to think, you know, to close that gap doesn't take a whole lot of 5 stars. It just takes your 2 and 3 stars and maybe a 4-star and the right coaching and staying healthy. That, you know, what we're all hoping for, what we hoped for this year was a winning season. So even if that's 7-5, everybody will breathe a sigh of relief next year and say, now we can put that behind us the last 10 years. And, you know, we're not dreaming of Orange Bowls and national championships just yet, but at least we're moving in the right direction. So I would say, you know, hats off to the squad this year and the heart that they put into it through injuries, through a changing coaching staff, so many uncertainties that they didn't quit. You know, talent wise, they've been as good or better than a lot of the teams, maybe outmanned in certain positions. And that's been part of the problem, but you know, there's still fight left in them. So let's hope that they can go out on a winning note next Friday. Next Friday.
Well said.
Yep.
He's more positive than us, Jake, but that's good.
That's good. We need that balance on this show.
No, it's all fair. And I think that, look, we're better than 3-8, way better. It's just, and we were way better than last year. So this is a 500 team all day long from a roster standpoint at a minimum. So I believe that. So let's get a coach in here before the December 7th recruiting, you know, right after Iowa, if not this weekend, and let's roll. So maybe you can keep Mickey and we'll go from there. Thank you. I'm glad to be on again.
Yes, Joseph.
Nice to see you, Joseph.
Thanks for the invite, guys. I enjoyed it.
You'll be back. We'll be doing this together, the 3 of us, next week. So tune in for that. Thank you, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.
Thanks to the crowd out there. Thanks, guys. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. Bye-bye.